Here's the really cool thing that it does though. See that hole right there? It can pop in just like that. And why are we doing it right now? We're not doing it right now. We need to open this up first. There we go. And once you do that, you pop this in just like so. And check that out, man. Is this knife going to close now? Nope. How's it going, guys? Welcome back and thanks for tuning in to my review of the CRKT Journeyer slip joint knife. This is a non-locking knife that I became really interested in as soon as I saw it at SHOT Show. Once some of the features were pointed out to me, and as I kind of discovered some of them, I was like, oh dang, that is really cool. I need to check this knife out. I need to try it out. Thanks to CRKT, of course, for sending this knife my way to do the testing and reviewing that I wanted to do for you. So let's talk about some of the cool features of this slip joint, that is to say non-locking knife, and why I think this is such a cool knife, why I think it's one that you might want to be interested in, whether you're in a restricted state or restricted city or not. I think it's just kind of a cool knife. So we'll get into all of that. We'll also show you some comparisons with a handful of other great EDC knives, really good ones for carrying around on an everyday basis. Also, we're going to show you a little bit of testing footage, cutting paper, cardboard, wood, all that stuff, and just kind of give you my opinions and experience with the knife, having carried it and having used it. So getting into the review, let's kind of talk about some of the features. It can be one-handed opened, as you saw me do at the outset of the video. Get your thumb into this little divot, this groove here, which is obviously not ground or punched all the way through, but you can lock your thumb into that and open that up pretty easily. I think that's clearly ambidextrous, so you could do that from either side with either hand, and that's a great feature. You can also, of course, just open it like so. How is the sort of half stop? There is a half stop on that, and I feel like every slip joint ought to have some sort of a half stop where it, the spring tension kind of holds it back from shutting all the way. And you can feel that right here. See that? As you're bringing it closed, stops right there, and then you press a little harder, and then it goes the rest of the way. Now, on some of the, let's say case knives, Victorinox knives, things like that, that have a much stronger half stop, a bit smoother as well, and just more positive. Whereas this one, it's clearly there, but it's, I don't think it's built in the same way, not engineered in the same way, so it feels different. We can also point out sort of some of the safety features in regards to this, in that when you lock your finger in right here, it creates something of a choil that would stop the blade from closing if you were to, say, do some puncturing with the tip of the blade in this configuration. You don't really have to worry about it immediately coming down and closing on your finger, because you can put enough pressure, kind of a pinch between your thumb and your forefinger here, and it's not going to close very easily. Now, it's definitely coming undone from that sort of retaining spot right here, which isn't a lock, but it does retain. However, it doesn't want to close on you right away. So that's a little bit of a safety feature. There's an even bigger one that I'm going to show you soon, so don't go away. But getting back to ergonomics, we can see some other grooves there in the handle. A fairly flat spine on that, and not a lot of other contours on it. However, I didn't find that to be a problem in the cutting and in the use that I put it through. What else? Oh, GRN handle scales. They look kind of like G10. They're not. They're plastic, or glass reinforced nylon, I should say. There are liners down in there, as you can see, some steel liners, giving it a little extra strength, which is a good thing. The weight on this thing is what? 2-ish ounces, I want to say? 2 or 3 ounces? Yeah, it's pretty low, just under 3 ounces. And the blade length, 2.75. Again, if you're in a place where it's restricted to under 3, you've easily got that covered. So, and then of course you can see some jimping on the top there, both built into the GRN and on the spine of the blade, helping you again maintain some traction and control over that blade and the work that you might do with it. And a nice stone washed kind of a finish there on the blade itself, looking really nice. Definitely has some character to it. A Liang Ma design. So if you're a fan of the work that he does for CRKT and other knives that he's made, then this is a pretty cool one to keep an eye out for. The pocket clip on it is very, very deep. You can see that, how it comes well below the handle. So that pretty much disappears in your pocket. And it's not a ridiculously big pocket clip either. If we look at something like the Kershaw Leak, which has a long pocket clip on it, I've never really complained about that, but you can see that it is very, very long. And in contrast, there's the Journeyer, quite a bit more shallow. Okay, it does the job. It does the job. So that's about all you need. You can also see that it's adjustable. You can remove it right here, and you can reposition it to right here. So completely ambidextrous. And how would you reposition it? Well, here's the coolest feature of the whole knife, and I hope you have all stuck around to hear this part. You've got a little Torx driver bit right there embedded in the back of the spine. Embedded? Nested, I guess we'd say. It's kind of nesting and sitting right there in the spine. As you pull that out, you're able to use this for two purposes. Number one, again, it has that sort of Torx driver right there. Sorry about the camera kind of bouncing, guys. But it's got that Torx driver right there that will allow you to both maintain different parts of the knife. And I think, yeah, everything on the knife is maintained with this particular driver right here. That will also allow you to remove this, pull it out, pop it in right there, and reverse it. Here's the really cool thing that it does, though. See that hole right there? It can pop in just like that. And why are we doing it right now? We're not doing it right now. We need to open this up first. There we go. And once you do that, you pop this in just like so. And check that out, man. Is this knife going to close now? Nope. You've just turned a non-locking slip joint into basically a little fixed blade. Kind of a fixed blade. It doesn't hold in there with a great amount of retention. You can just pop it out like that. It just slides right out. So it's not gonna, don't treat this like an actual fixed blade, because again, that little Torx bit will shift forward and back, and it can slide out, making it so that this blade might close on you unexpectedly. So if you want a little added security, pop this out from the back, pop it in here, and you've got a much stronger knife. Not exactly a fixed blade, but pretty close. Or at least, move in that direction. So those are the features. Really cool knife. And that's pretty much the main reason I was super excited about it. As we talk about some of the performance of this knife, I'll roll in some footage for that. It did a great job with the paper cut test, as I expected it to do. It came with a really nice sharp edge from CRKT. And also the geometry of that edge was such that it's just really fine. A really nice steep edge on it, which makes it really easy to resharpen on your Spyderco Sharp Maker or virtually any other sharpening system you have. 8CR13 MOV steel is not difficult to resharpen, and again, the steep edge makes it so that you can reestablish that edge and make it nice and fine and sharp again very easily, and I appreciate that. So it did great with paper, did great with cardboard as well. No real issues that I saw in the drag or in the how it performed. I think it performed fine. It was comfortable in hand and slipped through that material as well as I expected it to do. Digging into some wood, that was probably almost more than I would expect this knife to comfortably be able to do. It is fairly light. What did I say? Less than 3 ounces. There's not a ton of traction on that handle, and then given the sort of not quite lock back or locking mechanism that we have here, I felt like I was constantly kind of paying attention to that and trying to make sure that wasn't slipping or falling out as I was using it, so that I wouldn't end up with a non-locking slip joint knife if I wanted to have it lock. So that's kind of the situation there. It performed fine though, about as well as I would expect it to. So good knife overall, and really interesting design from the Angma and CRKT. Now let's put this knife up against a handful of other EDC knives, sort of in its size category, and see how it stacks up. The Journeyer comes in at, what is it, $30-ish? I think it's under $30. Let me check that real quick. It is 28 or so bucks. That's a really good price. Now, I think that's pretty much on par with what it ought to be, actually, given the steel type, given some of the characteristics and materials used, I think 28 bucks is pretty fair. CRKT, or sorry, this one is from Kershaw, of course. The Kershaw leak, which I'm very familiar with and shouldn't have forgotten the name of, but there it is. A bit more expensive in your $40 to $50 range, depending on which type you buy, and definitely a superior steel. But moving on, we got a couple of Spydercos here. This one is the Delica, of course, around the same weight, but the lockback on it definitely, given that it is locking, is going to be better than this sort of a locking mechanism. But it is, it's definitely its own monster. It's its own creature over there. Another Spyderco in the native, fantastic blade as well, really close in size and also in weight. Different steel, of course. This one S35 VN, far better VG10. So we're definitely looking at some contrast in quality. And this one comes in at what, 80 bucks? I want to say 70 or 80 bucks. This one bordering on 40 or 50. So definitely above this in price. And while we're talking, slip joints and sort of opening ourselves up to weird, or in my case, kind of unfamiliar EDC knife territory, we might as well throw in an EDC-able fixed blade. How about that one right there? That is the Tops MSK Survival. Check that out, Mini Scandi. That's a pretty nice little knife. Thanks to Tops for sending that one my way, and we will be you'll be seeing a review on this one in the future pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. And there's the sheath that it came with, set up as a neck knife initially. I changed it into sort of a belt sheath. Built a little Kydex thing, first exploration into Kydex territory, very rough and rugged looking and kind of ugly. But that's all right, it hides behind the belt, so I don't mind. But there's that. So I think a small fixed blade is definitely an option for EDC. I like carrying small fixed blades when I can, sometimes in place of folders. And so this is definitely an option. However, it's going to be considerably more expensive. The exact price range I don't have on me. I think it's like 70 or 80. So some definitely some awesome options out there that are competing against the Liangma CRKT Journeyer for your EDC knife dollars. But this one is quite an interesting design. And if you just want something that's cool and unusual and kind of fun to play with, fun to collect, I think the CRKT Journeyer is definitely that. And again, if you live in some sort of a restricted state or city where your ability to carry a locking knife may not be as much there, you may not be so free in that regard, then this one is definitely one that you would consider. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching this review of the CRKT Journeyer. It's a cool knife overall, and I recommend it. I'm Late Boy Scout. We'll see y'all later. The CRKT Hootenanny from our friend Ken Onion. Yeah, man, this guy is a classic knife maker. I don't really need to say anything about it. You guys know Ken Onion is the bomb, right?